dreamers! Welcome back to Siyona Stories, where magical tales come alive. Don't forget to press that special subscribe button to join our storytelling family. Now, let's begin today's enchanting tale. Once upon a time, in a village nestled between rolling hills and whispering meadows, there lived a curious boy with eyes that sparkled like morning dewdrops. He loved to explore the countryside, discovering secret places where wildflowers danced and butterflies painted the air with colors. Beyond the village rose the singing hills, where ancient caves carved mysterious shadows into the mountainside. The villagers whispered tales of these hills, saying they held secrets older than memory itself. One golden afternoon, while chasing a butterfly that glimmered like a tiny rainbow, the boy discovered a hidden path that wound up the hillside like a silver ribbon. His heart fluttered with excitement as he followed it higher and higher. At the path's end, he found a cave entrance draped with curtains of ivy and morning glories. From within came the most beautiful sound, like wind chimes mixed with distant thunder, but gentle as a lullaby. Peering carefully inside, the boy gasped in wonder. There, surrounded by pools of sunlight streaming through cracks in the cave ceiling, sat the most magnificent dragon he had ever imagined. This dragon wasn't fierce or frightening. His scales shimmered like emeralds touched by starlight, and his eyes held the wisdom of ancient forests. Most remarkably, he was composing poetry, speaking beautiful verses about sunset clouds and the music of babbling brooks. "Oh!" the boy exclaimed, and the dragon looked up with surprise. "Hello, little friend," said the dragon in a voice like warm honey. "Please don't be afraid. I'm just practicing my poetry. Would you like to hear a verse about dancing daisies?" The boy's fear melted like morning mist. "You're not scary at all. The stories say dragons are fierce and dangerous." The dragon chuckled, a sound like gentle rain on leaves. "Oh my! Those old tales. I'm far too busy writing poems and watching cloud formations to bother anyone. I much prefer composing sonnets to causing troubles." From that day forward, the boy visited his dragon friend every afternoon. They would share stories, recite poetry, and watch the sunset paint the sky in ribbons of gold and purple. The dragon taught him about the language of flowers and the secret songs that mountains sing. But one crisp autumn morning, a traveling merchant spotted the dragon's silhouette against the sky. By evening, whispers raced through the village like wildfire. "A dragon! A terrible dragon lives in the singing hills," cried the villagers, their voices trembling with fear. The boy tried to explain, "But he's gentle and kind. He writes poetry and wouldn't hurt anyone." The village elder shook his head gravely. "Dragons are dangerous, child. We must send for the great knight, the bravest dragon slayer in all the land." The boy's heart sank like a stone in a deep well. He raced up the hillside to warn his friend. "Oh dear," sighed the dragon when he heard the news. "I do hope this night Philo likes poetry. Perhaps we could discuss literature instead of fighting?" 3 days later, the famous knight arrived on a magnificent white horse that pranced like it was dancing to music only it could hear. His armor gleamed like captured moonlight, and his banner fluttered in the breeze. But when the boy looked into the knight's eyes, he saw something unexpected: wisdom and kindness, not cruelty. That evening, the boy crept to where the knight was camping. With a heart full of hope, he told the truth about his dragon friend. "A poetry-loving dragon?" The knight's eyes twinkled with interest. "How absolutely fascinating! I've never met a literary dragon before." The next morning, the knight quietly visited the cave. Soon, laughter echoed from within as dragon and knight discovered their shared love of stories and riddles. "My dear dragon," said the knight thoughtfully, "the villagers expect a battle. But what if we gave them something even better, a magnificent show that proves not all dragons need to be feared?" The dragon's eyes lit up like stars. "A performance! How wonderfully creative! I could demonstrate my dramatic poetry recitations." They spent the day planning the most spectacular, harmless battle ever imagined. The next afternoon, all the villagers gathered in the meadow. Trumpets announced the great event as the knight rode forth, his armor catching the sunlight like scattered diamonds. The dragon emerged from his cave with a roar that sounded more like an opera singer hitting a high note. He breathed harmless puffs of sparkling mist that looked like miniature fireworks. What followed was the most amazing theatrical performance the village had ever seen. The dragon recited dramatic poetry while pretending to fight, his voice booming across the hills. The knight performed elegant sword dances, his movements graceful as a swan's flight. Finally, with a flourish worthy of the finest actors, the dragon collapsed dramatically, declaring himself conquered by the knight's noble spirit. The villagers cheered and applauded, amazed by the spectacular show. "Good people," announced the knight, "this remarkable dragon has agreed to use his talents to help your village. He could recite poetry at your festivals and help teach your children about literature." The dragon bowed gracefully. "I would be honored to share my love of beautiful words with everyone." From that day forward, the dragon became the village's beloved poet and storyteller. Children would gather at his cave for poetry lessons, and on special occasions, he would perform dramatic recitations that made everyone laugh and wonder. The brave little boy had discovered something magical, that understanding and kindness could transform fear into friendship, and that sometimes the most wonderful surprises come from getting to know someone before judging them. The knight often visited too, and he and the dragon would spend hours discussing great literature and composing verses together. And so they all lived happily ever after, in a village where poetry flowed like music and dragons were welcomed as friends. The end. And so, dear little dreamers, what did we learn today? Sometimes our fears are built on stories rather than truths. The brave little boy showed us that taking time to understand someone different can lead to the most wonderful friendships. Being different is something to celebrate, not fear. The dragon's love of poetry made him special, and when others saw his true heart, they welcomed his uniqueness. Kindness and understanding can solve problems better than fighting. The wise knight showed us that creative solutions often work better than force. Remember, sweet children, every person you meet has their own special story. When we approach others with curiosity instead of fear, with kindness instead of judgment, we might discover the most amazing friendships waiting to bloom. Thank you for joining us at Siyona Stories. If this tale filled your heart with wonder, don't forget to subscribe and share with your family. The most beautiful magic happens when we open our hearts to understanding. Sweet dreams, little storytellers.